Hey everyone, Dr. Doug here with Dr. Doug's Rants. Well, just recently I've watched a parade of atrocities, missteps, and unbelievable decisions that have engulfed the administration these last several months. Indeed, the daily barrage of ignorance, miscalculation, and just plain stupidity have been borne across the media and social networks in such numbers to have numbed the observer to any new egregious outbursts. Basically, we're just plain tired of the circus and want to go home. But the ticket has been bought and the seat taken. Unless some miracle happens, such as the clowns refusing to participate anymore in these sad acts, or even the fire marshal shutting it down, we're doomed to watch it unfold for another 31 months. Fortunately, an intermission appears in 5 months, and we may be able to save ourselves from this interminably bad production. Until then, what do we make of this buffoon and his presidency? Why does his right-wing support grow and strengthen? Well, after nearly 16 months of observing this man-child's presidency, and speaking, chatting, and reading about him from his supporters, some conclusions have been drawn. His supporters, his hardcore supporters, think he and his actions are saving this great nation. They aren't deluded, maybe delusional, but not deluded. His supporters have come to believe the globalism inherent in our earlier administrations were destroying our national identity and ideology. The embrace of international concerns was not, in fact, ensuring our country's security and future, but were deceptions taking our funds, our tax dollars away to support ideologies, people, and nations elsewhere in defiance of our common good. Many truly believe that Washington, D.C. bureaucratic and political establishment have become so entrenched that it was immune to the protestations and ideologies of the American people. A belief, mind you, shared by many across all spectrums of the electorate. But instead of recognizing their complicity in this paralysis due to their hardcore inability to accept any compromise, a position birthed from their insistence that compromise is what got us here, by the way, they doubled down by electing a true outsider, a person known to disrupt, if for no other reason than the theater of the disruption itself. They knew they were electing a fraud, and they were glad to do it. He is doing everything they wanted him to do, walking away from international accords, closing our borders, standing firm against foreigners, and putting the most egregious people in positions of power, positions that enable them to rail against and hopefully destroy the entrenched bureaucracy, that deep state, i.e. the civil servants that refuse to listen and bend to the will of the people. But herein is the problem. These so-called patriots don't know what they're talking about. They aren't the rebels bringing down the empire. They aren't the Minutemen standing against the tyranny of the king. They, in their ignorance, are the collective disease that could destroy our country, really destroy it. Not only its ideology, but its very existence. But they will never see it because they live in a world of sound bites, clickbait, headlines, and propaganda. Not once, when confronted on those issues in which they cheered the news of some political or policy demise, did these Trumpites offer any understanding of why that agreement or this policy was enacted in the first place. They refuse to understand that we are a country of immigrants, and they themselves are the children or great-grandchildren of immigrants. Closing our borders is denying ourselves. They do not understand the depths of the Iran agreement and the many subtleties involved in moving our theocratic government into the civilization of men and women. They do not see where they are the beneficiaries of the very social programs they are voting to destroy. The Trumpites and Trump himself only see the black and white of any issue. And the irony is not lost on me, since they receive their limited information on colored television. They do not see, nor would they want to see, the merits of any position they oppose. Then again, that is their downfall. To them, we are all winning now. We are finally getting the government and bureaucracy that we deserve. We even have the bureaucracies, major governmental departments that are running without leaders. Proof, mind you, proof that they and their bureaucracies were never needed in the first place. Merit is never what this group sought. The virtue of a solid argument, well supported with evidence and consensus of majority, is not their goal. They have always come to a problem sideways. Resistance to their beliefs has always made them seek success through deception, interpretation of rules, subversion of policies, or outright lies. Guilt or shame was never their burden. They were always fighting the man, and you used what you had to win. The will of the majority was always wrong, simply because the majority was always manipulated by those in power. So now what we have in the United States is the tail wagging the dog. Trump and the Trumpites, supporting Republicans and like-minded independents, have, through every survey and poll, always registered as the minority view. They have gained no more than 40% of the nation in support of their positions, and usually quite a bit less. Even in Trump's heralded victory, 50% of the voters want anyone else but him to be president. The majority, through its manipulations of elections or preying on the levers of the law, is telling the majority what to do. It isn't the first time it's happened, and I doubt it will be the last. Still, it is time for it to stop. It's time for the big dog to hold still. It's time to return to majority rule. The policies and procedures the minority wants is not good for the country. Those institutions they're ignoring are letting decay or destroying our foundations. Our future as a global leader, as an economic powerhouse, as a country with the highest personal living standards is at stake. This time, the majority must be heard. The minority cannot continue to jeopardize our country with the ignorance, superstition, and false ideology. This time, the majority must vote and be counted. Make sure you do. And thank you for listening once again to one of my rants, and y'all have a good day. Please look forward to them in the future and pass them along if you will. Y'all have a good day.